Harvey Johnson.
And we're your hosts tonight, and we welcome you to Walking in a Consummated Marriage. As we had told you before, we've been married over 40 years. Prophet and I, we met in high school, and we've been together ever since. And I guess you said, wow, 40 years? Well, I say that myself. Where did the time go? Well, God has truly blessed us with some wisdom in our marriage and some tools, and of course, experience. And tonight, we want to share with you those tools, those experiences, and the wisdom that God has blessed us with. So sit back, and during our break, call someone, a friend, a family member, or someone who you think that needs to hear what we have to say tonight on this segment.
We've helped so many couples and individuals and couples at various stages in their relationships, whether they were married, whether they were engaged to be married, or on their way to the altar. And that's the purpose of this program. It's to prepare, enrich, and strengthen the relationships of couples.
Yes.
People in relationships that are planning to go forward according to the will of God. We had helped so many people that we thought it would just be wise that we would go forward and get our certification. And we're certified in marriage and premarital enrichment. And we also offer seminars to groups of more than 10 couples nationwide, and one-on-one counseling sessions with one-on couples in the Atlanta metro area.
Yes.
So if you're in the Atlanta metro area and you want to have a consultation with us, or if you're a nationwide audience, just email us at walkingconsummated@gmail.com. The beauty of the contacting us and having the seminars and the one-on-one, each couple, no matter what stage you're in, will receive the benefit of not only our 40-plus years of marriage, but you will also receive a personalized report that outlines your strengths and your opportunities for improvement as you go forward in your relationship. These online assessments are done through the Prepare and Enrich module online.
Yes.
Once again, tonight our subject is conflict and resolution.
Yes.
We had so much information to give on last week, and we talked about a lot of different issues because we found out that conflict is in 3 phases.
Yes.
It comes in problems, it comes in conflicts, but it also comes in crisis. On last week, we talked about the fact that if a problem persists, if it is unresolved, that problem can turn into a conflict.
Yes.
One thing we agreed upon, that if you live, you're going to have problems.
Oh, yes.
Every entity that I've ever worked with, every business that I've ever set up under, every operation and every relationship, their ability to identify and solve problems is a key in making progress and going forward. We also talked about last week that when conflicts come,
Yes.
if they persist, crisis will come forward.
Oh, definitely.
Yes, so you have to be able to identify your problems because they will grow into conflicts. Well, in addition to conflict resolution and problem solving, the next phase that we decided that we should talk about tonight is the area of forgiveness. Forgiveness is so key,
Yes.
so key in a relationship.
Yes.
Not only because of the situations and opportunities that we enter in together that require forgiveness, but even forgiveness for those outside of the relationship.
Yes.
Because you don't want to have your marriage partner or your relationship partner bogged down in unforgiveness.
Yes.
Unforgiveness can be a poison. It can take on the root of bitterness
Yes.
and cause you to be so wound up and tight on the inside that it would affect your communication and your intimacy.
Yes. And also with forgiveness, we have to remember that when you're walking around in unforgiveness, a lot of times, the longer you walk around, the deeply rooted the problem becomes. So tonight, we're going to go through some steps on letting you know how you can walk in forgiveness, which is so key to any relationship, whether you're married or whether you're unmarried.
And so while we're on the program, I want you to identify and target those situations where you can exercise forgiveness and release yourself into a place of peace that's being withheld from you. Remember now, forgiveness is an object of the enemy. The enemy, you don't want him to have a stronghold or a place in your life or in your walk. And so we're going to be going forward on our break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about forgiveness in the areas of conflict and resolution. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
What's your style? Are you boho bold? Or classically chic? Flat out fearless? Straight up sexy? Or both? Discover your style at ShoeDazzle.com. Simply take our free style quiz and our expert stylists will create a customized collection just for you. Get personalized looks you love for a price you can't resist. Always $39.95 a pair. Get 20% off your first pair at ShoeDazzle.com.
Hi, I'm Venus Williams. You know, I heard recently that the two main reasons for not getting an annual mammogram are limited access and fear. I know that there are low-cost and even free screenings at some hospitals and clinics, and I've even heard of mobile mammogram units in some areas. Talk about service. Look, I know getting a screening is not as exciting as shopping, but life is for living. So take the first step to breast health. Get the mammogram. For more information?
How do you measure performance? Infinity measures it in beats per minute, in stitches per inch. We measure performance by touch, by sight, by sound. The Infinity M. By any measure, this is inspired performance. This is the way of infinity.
No pigtails anymore.
Check, please.
David, you okay to drive?
Yeah, I only had a couple drinks. I'm fine.
Come on.
Keys can be a weapon. A few drinks can make...
Choices. Some are minor, others life-changing. But what if your small choices matter the most, like the stairs or the elevator, baked or fried? What if these small choices determine if you'll be the 1 out of every 3 women who die of heart disease this year? These choices might not seem life-changing today, but women are dying of heart disease at the rate of almost 1 per minute. Luckily, it's mostly preventable. Choose to act. Our hearts, our choice. Make your choice at goredforwomen.org.
Check it out. We about to go get twisted. Y'all coming or what?
Nah, man, I gotta hit the books, man. All right?
Heck yeah.
See you guys.
Can I get a check?
Nah, we straight.
Hello, I'm Prophet Johnson. I'm here with my wife, Prophet Charlotte Johnson, and we welcome you back to Walking in a Consummated Marriage. As we introduced to you earlier in the introduction, tonight we're talking about forgiveness, the power of forgiveness in your relationship. When we did the subject of communication, I made the statement of a model that we kind of practice in our home, and that motto is that love is forever and forgiveness is free. My mindset when I said that, I actually established this when I was very young, early in the marriage, but my mindset was this, that I didn't want any prisoners in my house. I didn't want to be a warden, and I didn't want any prisoners. I wanted people to feel free to move around and not be tense around me. I know that in so many households, either the children or the wife or the husband is so tense and uncomfortable in their own home. I wanted a house where conversation could flow free. Well, that's going on now, but it kind of backfired on us a little bit. I have a son that's 40 years old and come and climb into bed with us like he's 8 early in the morning, but I guess he still feels the freedom of what we established in the beginning, and that's fine with us. But also, after we came out of communication, we talked about crisis and conflict resolution. Notice here that we are building pillars. I know everybody wants to get to intimacy and sex. Intimacy, sex, and money. We're going to get there, but we have to have the foundations laid. And that first pillar, communication, The second one, conflict resolution. And this third pillar is forgiveness. At the end of last week's session, we talked about the conflict of loving someone that is functional at a certain level, but at other levels or in key situations, they can't be depended upon. And we kind of come to the conclusion that in that particular area, my mate or my companion or my partner, they're broken. Look at it like this. Like a three-leg chair that can stand on its own. And it looks good long as it's sitting there because it only has 3 legs because there's no weight on it. But it can stand on its own, but it can't handle the weight of its purpose. Because as soon as somebody sits on that chair, it will collapse.
Yes.
A lot of times, when our partner is conflicted on the inside, or in certain situations, they can't hold up under the pressure of the purpose that we share. Well, that's a situation where we decided that we can't chase after the symptoms. We can't chase after the symptoms because that person, for instance, I think the example that we use, that person is a liar. Well, we can't chase after the liar. We have to find out the reason why the person lies. What reality can they not face that they have to come up with this presumption? But through prayer and discernment, we must find the root cause of our partner's brokenness or their iniquity.
But then, too, the person has to know that they're carrying baggage.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? They have to own up to it. They have to know that they're carrying baggage, and they have to want to be able to do something about it.
Yes.
Because if they don't own up to it, then nothing is going to be done about it. And like you said, through much prayer, yes, we know that there's much power in prayer, but the person definitely have to own up to it.
Yes, there has to be a release, a conversation. This is why the atmosphere of honesty is so important in relationships. I have to be able to come to you with my weakness and know that I won't be judged. And so we find out, and we talked about this word iniquity. Iniquity and sin sometimes are said in the same way, but they're really two different things. Iniquity means crookedness or perverseness. It not only implies the action or the act, but the character of the person or the intent or motive behind the action. Another term for iniquity is driver. Once again, it's not the act, but it's the destination that the lack of character takes us.
Right.
And when we have these conflicts or we have these points of unforgiveness, it takes us to a place because either because of my lack of character, or my partner because of brokenness in their character, we end up in places that we don't want to be.
Right, and that's due to the fact that you're letting the situation is driving you.
Yes.
Instead of you being the driver of the situation. And a lot of times it comes from the emotional part of it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
A lot of people go into a relationship with the baggage, and that's the beauty of having counseling.
Yes.
You know, the enrichment of a marriage, the enrichment of a relationship, having someone to go over certain things with you, and you're able to express yourself and even your thoughts, that things that you even want to have dealt with before you go into the relationship.
Yes, but it feels good just to get it out. It feels good just to get it on the table, to be heard, to be able to say, this hurts me when I do that. But if our brokenness is the driver in our relationship, it will take us to a place where forgiveness will become necessary. Ephesians 4:27. I like this verse. It says, neither give place to the devil.
Yes.
Neither give place to the devil. Listen, if you let him ride, he's going to want to drive.
Oh, yeah.
If you let the devil ride in your relationship or in your character, he's eventually going to want to take the steering wheel and lead you in places that you don't want to go. But because marriage is not only a legal covenant, as evidenced in divorce courts, when you have to pay back or give compensation for walking out of that covenant, but even more so, marriage is a spiritual covenant.
It is.
And its violation is not only sin, but it's also an iniquity. Let's be honest. We all have places in our character and in our relationships that we need to work on. Our desire should be that my iniquity not speak for me.
Okay, let's back up again to the driving part.
Yes.
A lot of times when you let that thing be the driver,
Yes.
it actually causes you to act out of character.
Yes. Yes.
Some people, they're angry, you know.
Yes.
Their spouse or their companion does not know why they're angry. Half of the time they don't know why they're angry. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so that's what happens when you let the situation drive you. You don't have any control of it. And so we got to learn how to take control of it. I know we spoke about driving last week, but that situation is very crucial.
Yes.
Who's driving who?
That's right.
It
That's
is.
right. And we were created to rule, to have dominion. But aside from the challenge of our character, every couple will experience a time of conflict, hurt, disappointment, or an offense will occur where forgiveness is necessary. Yeah. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back.
One university understands how you live today and where you want to go tomorrow. University of Phoenix, thinking ahead.
You with a sad eyes, don't be discouraged. I realize it's hard to take courage in a world full of people. You can lose sight of it all, and the darkness inside you makes you feel so small. But I see your true colors shining through. I see your true colors. That's why I love you. So don't be afraid to let them show your true colors. Your true colors are beautiful like a rainbow.
Tide laundry detergent, Downy fabric softener, Bounce dryer sheets, and a pie pan.
Looks like someone used my nice clean towels again for his mud pies.
Was it me?
Who's this?
That guy? I've never seen that guy in my life.
Only Walmart has low prices every day on everything to keep your wash fresh and clean. Backed by our ad match guarantee. Save money. Live better. Walmart.
Tide laundry detergent.
One university understands how you live today and where you want to go tomorrow. University of Phoenix, thinking ahead.
Hello and welcome back. Once again, tonight our subject is forgiveness. And we had talked about iniquity at first, the character flaws in our individual lives when we're conflicted on the inside. Remember, when we're conflicted on the inside, it prohibits us from being functional on the outside. And for that, when that happens or that exchange continues to take place, it will usually bring us and our partner, us and our wife or our husband, or the person we're engaged. It's going to bring us to a place of forgiveness where we need to say, "I'm sorry. I'm going to try and do better." But I want to get down to some of just the general things that might cause offense. Now, you know the Bible says, take no offense. What that implies, or what that means to me, is be careful of things that you hold on to.
Yes.
You know, all of us have been in tense situations on our job, or with our boss, or with an individual outside of our marriage, where we've gotten in the car and we're going back and forth in our mind how we're going to get even and what we're going to say. You know what I mean? That means that the offense has latched a hold to us. And because every moment that you spend addressing that offense, you've been cheating out a moment of peace. Every moment that you spend preparing an argument, you're being cheated out of a moment of reconciliation. And so that includes everything from, in relationship, it includes everything from forgetting an important date, like an anniversary or a birthday, or not picking up the kids or your wife or your husband on time. And it carries over into the more serious issues like infidelity or addictions or abuse. All these things will bring us to a place where the power of forgiveness is absolutely necessary. Forgiveness is a powerful tool. You have to hear what I'm saying to you now. Forgiveness is a powerful tool in the hands of those that will use it, because it will release inner healing, outer healing, and restoration in our relationships. Consider this. Jesus broke the back of sin with forgiveness. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And so you must understand that by the power of his forgiveness, he broke the back of sin and iniquity by forgiving those who were causing his persecution. It looked like it was a necessary step before he walked into his glory. This thought hit my mind. Me and Charlotte were praying the other day, and we were sitting, we were talking, and this came to my mind. How can we, who have been forgiven, not forgive? How can we, who have been forgiven, not show forgiveness towards other people? Forgiveness is the act, decision to surrender the right for vengeance. The Bible says, vengeance is mine, said the Lord. To surrender the right for vengeance, retribution, or judgment towards an offender. In order to be freed from anger, resentment, and bitterness, you must forgive.
You know, a lot of times we know that forgiveness can be a hard thing to do, based on the severity of the situation.
Yes.
A lot of times, you know, it's a process.
Yes.
You know, it's a process. Little bitty situations, forgive me.
Yes.
Tough situations, you know, you ask someone to forgive you, but it's something that has to be worked on.
Yes.
Because it's a process, you know. A lot of times you'll ask someone to forgive you, and they won't. So what do, Prophet, in a case whereas you ask for forgiveness and a person does not want to forgive you?
Okay, when you seek forgiveness and the person is not willing to forgive, you remember the spiritual implications of forgiveness. Once you have surrendered yourself to seek forgiveness, you have put that thing in God's hand. True forgiveness comes from the spirit and the heart of God. And so once you have gone into that person, say, listen, I offended you. I admit that I offended you. Once you place yourself in that person's position and say, listen, forgive me. Forgive me for the offense that I caused you. And you leave it in God's hands. That situation, that person's heart is now in God's hands. Because people respond to forgiveness, giving forgiveness, and seeking forgiveness in different ways. It takes some people a longer time. Forgiveness is the process that promotes and lays the foundation for peace and reconciliation. But reconciliation takes participation by two people.
Yeah, and it also helps you to move forward.
Yes.
Because if you don't forgive, or if you don't accept someone's forgiveness, you can't move forward in your life.
Yes, yes.
I mean, you can move forward, but you won't be in the fullness.
Yes, this is absolutely true. Like we were talking over the break, When you get to a certain level in your life, a certain season in your life, sometimes you have to go back and ask God or ask somebody for forgiveness for what you've done. Maybe you came out of a partnership the wrong way. Maybe you came out of your mother's house the wrong way. Maybe you came out of a former marriage the wrong way. And you have to go back and make that slate clean in your heart and in the mind and heart of God so that you can go forward. Because that opens the door now for you to get the fruit of your forgiveness. You have to have that abiding presence of God. And so if you continue to hold little sections of your lives in certain compartments where God can't get to, where your wife can't get to, listen, sometimes holding unforgiveness against the former relationship will hinder the promotion and advancement of the present relationship.
Absolutely, because that's, once again, you're bringing something into a relationship that shouldn't even be there.
I've seen many fathers in situations where they get a new family, and now they have new children up under a new marriage, but they haven't reconciled with their first children, and they have to go back after many years, and they've been a good father, and but they get so far. And then when the Spirit or God or conviction turns them and say, you know what, I need to go back and set the table. Forgiveness is equitable. This is the point. Forgiveness is equitable. Matthew 6:14. If you forgive men of their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. Yes. And so the forgiveness I give makes me eligible for the forgiveness I receive. The forgiveness that I receive. You know what I like about forgiveness? Anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. Forgiveness works for everybody. Yeah. Anybody can do it. The weak or the strong can do it. The rich or the poor can do it. And they get the same equitable benefit. You must understand that we must reach out in that forgiveness. Listen, we're going to take a short break and we're going to be right back.
What's your style? Are you boho bold? Or classically chic? Flat out fearless? Straight up sexy? Or both? Discover your style at shoedazzle.com. Simply take our free style quiz and our expert stylists will create a customized collection just for you. Get personalized looks you love for a price you can't resist. Always $39.95 a pair. Get 20% off your first pair at shoedazzle.com.
Choices. Some are minor, others life-changing. But what if your small choices matter the most, like the stairs or the elevator, baked or fried? What if these small choices determine if you'll be the 1 out of every 3 women who die of heart disease this year? These choices might not seem life-changing today, but women are dying of heart disease at the rate of almost 1 per minute. Luckily, it's mostly preventable. Choose to act. Our hearts, our choice. Make your choice at goredforwomen.org.
Please visit breastcancerawareness.com. Hi, I'm Venus Williams. You know, I heard recently that the 2 main reasons for not getting an annual mammogram are limited access and fear. I know that there are low-cost and even free screenings at some hospitals and clinics, and I've even heard of mobile mammogram units in some areas. Talk about service. Look, I know getting a screening is not as exciting as shopping, but life is for living. So take the first step to breast health. Get the mammogram. For more information, please visit breastcancerawareness.com.
Hello, welcome back. This is Prophet Harvey Johnson. I'm here with my wife once again, Prophet Charlotte Johnson, and we're digging deep into the area of forgiveness. I hope that you're taking notes. I can feel the resonation of the truth behind what we're saying as the words are leaving our mouths and our hearts. And we've been praying for you about this area of forgiveness. We had said something earlier about a house, an atmosphere where forgiveness is free. And my closing statement of the last segment was that forgiveness works for everybody. Yes. Everybody in the house. I remember a time I had got excited or overheated at a conversation I was having with my son Andre, and he was young at that time, maybe 13 or 14. No, actually, he was in his first year of college, and I was saying something. I say, "You're not listening to me." I say, "You're not hearing what I'm saying." And man, he was so hurt And he turned around, he said, Daddy, I am listening. I am listening. Man, don't you know, I had to, in my heart, I realized that I had went into an area that if me and my son were going to grow in this new phase of his life as a college student, growing into a young man and being independent on campus, I had to cut that cord right there and tell him I was sorry. And why is it so hard sometimes? Because we will forgive on big levels. We will forgive even on marriage. But why is it so hard to just say, I'm sorry? To say I'm sorry so that we can go forward and reach out to that person, because let me tell you, a lot of times the offense occurs is because that person loves and respects who you are in their life. It's hard to offend somebody that don't care about you. But once you offend somebody that you love, you have got to extend the hand of forgiveness and let it come from your own mouth. We were talking yesterday. Listen here. God has already forgiven us.
Yes.
That forgiveness is out there already. But it's not activated until you ask for it. It doesn't work until you tell God, forgive me, until you ask for his forgiveness. And it's in the audible and physical demonstration of forgiveness that we release the peace that comes with forgiveness. Your marriage may not be the object of your forgiveness, but it will be the benefactor. Let me explain. It can be your wife forgiving her father, or your husband forgiving his brother. When it releases your partner, when it releases my wife, or releases me for my wife, it blesses our relationship, because now I have a part of my wife, or now she has a part of her husband that was before tied up in unforgiveness. And so once that forgiveness takes place, that is the thing that you must do. You must embrace it and receive the benefit. We said before what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is equitable. Forgiveness works for everybody. Forgiveness can bless your marriage, but your marriage might not be the object of that forgiveness. Forgiveness is the process that promotes and lays the foundation for peace and reconciliation. That's what forgiveness is. But let's look at the places where what forgiveness is not. Forgiveness is not forgetting. Forgiveness is not forgetting. And so the offense may remain in your mind, and you may have to work through that sometime to get your thoughts straight. And so you may not be able to forget, but you can still forgive.
Right, and that's what I was speaking on, the process of the severity of the situation, on how you're going to be able to get past it.
Yes.
Once you tell the person that I forgive you, or vice versa.
Yes, yes. Forgiveness is not forgetting. Forgiveness is not condoning or perpetuating injustice. We're not saying that what you've done now wasn't wrong, or that it won't cause you some kind of consequence. But what I am saying is that I forgive you, and you won't have any consequences from me. You won't have any judgment from me. I hand that over to God.
Okay, and you know what? And back to driving.
Yes.
It could drive you if you let it.
Yes.
You know, so you have to be the driver. Let that thing lay dormant. You've already asked for forgiveness.
Yes.
Just let it lay dormant. Sometimes it's kind of hard, but once again, just like I said, prayer is very powerful. Through prayer and through the help of God, we can all do it. It can be done.
I was thinking about, there's a lot of situational that comes out in the news about different people who have been offended as a child molestation, and people who have been hurt by parents, who had walked out of their parents' home and never got reconciled. There's so many instances of this, that this is why forgiveness is so crucial in a marriage where there are children involved.
Yes.
You have to, listen, you don't want to start breeding this spirit of unforgiveness, because like I said earlier, it will create bitterness. And the root of bitterness will make you physically sick.
Yes.
Bitter people, it's been proven that people who are bitter are more subject to arthritis because they have no flexibility. People that are bitter often have strokes or other high blood pressure or other symptoms because they are holding inside. They don't have full grasp of oxygen or breathing or capacity to release. Forgiveness does not always resolve, though, in reconciliation. It doesn't always resolve in reconciliation. Sometimes you just have to give the forgiveness or ask the forgiveness and walk away.
Walk away.
The last point, what forgiveness is not. Forgiveness is not always quick. It is not always quick. Remember, if you're seeking forgiveness, the person who you're asking to give you forgiveness, you have to let them work up under their own time schedule.
Right.
You have to let them work up under your own time schedule. According to Dr. Richard D. Banks of Marriage and Life Incorporated, there are 6 phases to seeking and granting forgiveness. Actually, I'm going to post these on the website. So if you follow us on Facebook, our Facebook page, Walking Consummated, you'll be able to see these 6 steps. But tonight we're going to start on them, and we'll see how far we can get in them. The first one, in seeking forgiveness, admit what you did was wrong. That's the biggest step. If you could just say, you know what, that was wrong, I shouldn't have done it. And then you have to try and empathize with the pain that you have caused. I worked with a counselor. His name was Reggie. He really blessed me one day. He said, Harvey, you're telling these men, it was a men's group, you're telling these men to take a step that they're not feeling. He says, whatever they feel, that's their reality. You have to bless them. You have to get them to the point that they can accept forgiveness at the point of their own reality. Another step is take a responsibility for your actions and make restitution when necessary. I'm going to make this real simple. Sometimes you can ask your wife forgiveness or tell her you're sorry, but dinner won't hurt. Flowers won't hurt. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes you have to make restitution. You have to make a physical demonstration that you want forgiveness. We're heading to a break, and when we come back, I think we're going to be taking some questions from the audience. Like I said, I didn't get to all these steps, but I will post them on the Walking Consummated Facebook page. God bless you. We'll be right back.
In our daily lives, we make many decisions. Life is made up of choices that may seem insignificant at the time, but add up and affect our lives in the biggest ways. Like the health of your heart. Heart disease is the #1 killer of women. Making the right choices can reduce your risk. Choose to see your doctor. Choose fresh, not fried. Choose to walk. Choose to live. Make the choice to beat heart disease at GoRedForWomen.org. In our daily lives, we make many decisions.
What's your style? Are you boho bold? Or classically chic? Flat out fearless? Straight up sexy? Or both? Discover your style at ShoeDazzle.com. Simply take our free style quiz and our expert stylists will create a customized collection just for you. Get personalized looks you love for a price you can't resist. Always $39.95 a pair. Get 20% off your first pair at ShoeDazzle.com.
Check it out. We about to go get twisted. Y'all coming or what?
Nah, man, I gotta hit the books, man. All right?
Yeah? See you guys.
Can I get a check?
Nah. We straight.
I stole from my little sister.
I got straight D's.
I left my ex-girlfriend 27 messages last night.
I made it.
School, no pigtails anymore.
Check, please.
David, you okay to drive?
Yeah, I only had a couple drinks. I'm fine.
Come on.
Keys can be a weapon. A few drinks can make you a killer.
Hello and welcome back again. And we're in our question and answer segment of the program. I want to remind you that even while we're talking, you can send your questions on forgiveness or communication or conflict resolution to walkingconsummated@gmail.com. Our first question is from Decatur, Georgia, and the question is, How can you forgive someone? Again, once you offer forgiveness and once you let this person know that they have hurt you, that the offense has occurred, you have sown the seed for God to do the work behind your attempt to give them forgiveness. Once again, reconciliation is a two-sided coin. But long as your arms are open with forgiveness, you open the door for that person to catch the reality of the pain they caused you. Now, when you don't get caught up on the blame part, because part of forgiveness is not determining a verdict. And so I know they may be the blame, but you have to let God be the judge of it. And so once you release your forgiveness upon them, you actually should take your position as one who has given forgiveness and walk in that forgiveness and not worry about the blameless that this person will not accept.
Because you've forgiven them anyway, so now it's on them.
Yes.
It's on them. That person has to own up to it. And there's nothing that you can do because you've done your part.
Look, the next question is beautiful because it's coming from the other side of the table. Our first question said, how do you forgive somebody that won't accept the blame? And so, once again, we were talking about this very thing, I think it was yesterday, about God, just like God picks up your offering. When you give God an offering of praise, or you give God a physical or financial offering, a sacrifice of your time, your talent, or your treasure, well, you give it to God, it's God's job to pick it up and to say this is acceptable. Once you lay or you ask for the forgiveness of others, it puts it on them to pick up the mantle of offering or receiving or giving you the forgiveness that you require and that you need to have your freedom in your life. Now, I know this is particularly painful because a lot of times people will not give forgiveness because they have gone into a place of judgment. But the thing about forgiveness is that once I've judged somebody guilty, I have to carry the verdict. And so when that person is carrying that verdict, once you have offered or sought their forgiveness and they're still carrying the verdict and you've initiated your asking for forgiveness, that verdict will become very heavy for that person.
Yeah, you know, I had a time in my life where I had asked for forgiveness and that person just hung up on me, you know. And so I just had to let it go. But a year later, that person called me back. Never said that they accept the forgiveness. They just began to talk. And I put that with love covers a multitude of things. You know, sometimes a person can come up to you when they've wronged you, and instead of asking for forgiveness, they'll just hug you. You know, and so it takes time on that other person's side if they're going to receive your forgiveness. But if not, then Amen. There's nothing that you can really do about it.
Amen. Amen. Okay, we have a question that's a little not on the forgiveness side, but it actually falls into the area of communication, the topic that we did on communication. This question is also from Detroit, Michigan, and the question is, don't you remember from the conversation on communication, we said that when silence prevails, your partner will go seeking. When silence prevails, your partner will go seeking. They might start seeking the opinions of the people at the beauty shop, or the opinions of the people on their job, or even seeking outside opinions from people that they don't even know, even strangers. They'll spark many of us has been in a situation where a stranger will just strike up a conversation. They'll tell us everything. And you know that they're venting about something relating to their marriage or their partner or something they've experienced. But my point is this. When you start looking at your partner through the opinions of other people, you're going to end up being strangers in paradise. That means that even though it's just you and him or you and her in the room, all those other people that you have allowed to cross that line are in the room with you. This was the reason why the Bible said that you ought to leave. Let them leave so they can cleave to each other. That isolation or that consecration means that there's a fence around my relationship. And you have to know when that line has been crossed. You know what? I think it was a few years ago, one of the words that they added to the Bible was unfriend. Unfriend. That was the new word they added to the Bible, because all these people they had friended on Facebook, they had to turn around and unfriend these people because they had allowed them to get into areas where they should not have been. And so you have to be careful that those opinions don't enter into your relationship. The second question from Detroit is forgiving. In fact, I was in the car driving, we were coming over, and I thought about this. You know the beauty of Adam? Of Adam's creation? Adam was created, he didn't have a past. He had nothing to go back to. He had nothing to go back to. And so when you're talking about building your future, sometimes you have to cancel your past. Your past is only supposed to be a lesson to instruct you for what is coming in your future. That's the only thing your past can do. It can offer you the benefit of experience. But you can't let it determine how far you're going to go into your future. I found out that when dealing with your past, if I continue to go forward in my destiny and my purpose, some of those past things will just fall off. It's like shedding skin.
Okay.
It's like those thoughts will just drop off. Because I found out that you can't hold two things in your hand at the same time. You will have to release the old to hold on to something new. And so you have to remember that you can't let your past hold you bondage, because it will keep you from fully receiving your future. Here's another question. Is there such a thing
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm going to tell you, when we first got married, we left the apartment on 3321 Selden and went to the house on Metatol. Listen, it was 5 years before somebody came over there to visit me. All those people that we grew up with on the west side of Detroit didn't find their way into our new destination. We had to be able to let those people go. Because not only were they too crowded or crowded in our relationship, they weren't relevant.
They weren't going where we were going.
They weren't going where we were going. And you have to be concerned about letting people go into a chapter of your life when they were supposed to be closed out in the previous chapter.
And know who belongs in your circle.
In your circle.
Yeah, know who belongs in your circle and know who does not, and not being afraid to let those that don't belong in there go.
Yes.
Without any type of hesitation.
One of the things that I think that we have learned to do well is by us working or building, or when we're working on something, that keeps us from clinging to things that we don't need. Yes. The antidote to unnecessary friends and wrong conversations is to be working on your purpose. Your purpose will drive people away. Yeah, it will close a door. And you'll look around one day, and there's no phone call from this person. They don't email you anymore, because your purpose will take you on a course that they can't follow. It doesn't mean that you're dissing them. It doesn't mean that you're disrespecting them. It just means that it's time to go forward and they couldn't go. If you're blessed and they're good friends, God will bring around another season where you all can sit back and fellowship and remember the good times you had. Boy, you still working on your purpose. Last question for the night is going to be insecurities within a person and a woman.
Wow.
Insecurities within our relationship. Sometimes when we go and we're growing, I'm talking about growth in relationships and personal growth. We have to go into areas that are now uncomfortable. And if you have a partner, a husband, or a wife, and you're going somewhere that's new to them, and they still need you to be the person that you were in their last season, sometimes that becomes difficult. I remember coming to you and telling you at a season of my life, I said, Charlotte, I'm changing, and I can't help it. I remember this clear as day, and no sooner than a month after I made that statement, we entered into a crisis because our worlds were being attacked.
Because I wasn't ready for that change.
Yes.
But as time went on, I got on that boat.
But let me tell you, if you're really committed to your partner, and like I'm committed to my wife, and 40 years has caused us to come this far, it doesn't matter where I'm going. I'm not going without my wife. I'm not going without my friend. Listen, half of the information I need for my future is hidden in her because we are one. That's just saying like you're going to read half of the book on how to fix your car, but the other half of the book you're just going to leave out. You need the whole situation.
Yes, and also relationships and marriages, they don't stay the same.
Yes.
There's a change every so many years, and you have to be able to know when that change comes and be able to move with the change, because if there's no change, then there's no growth, and we want to grow in our relationship. We want to grow in our marriage.
Yeah, you know what? A lot of people have admiration for our marriage and our relationship. Let me drop a jewel on you. When we found each other, we wasn't like this. Oh, no. We wasn't like this. Charlotte didn't get me like this. This is some 40 years of work. Yeah. You know what I mean? And she wasn't the woman of God that she is today. And we didn't grow up in a tree, and we don't spend our whole day in a prayer closet. We had a real life with real situations, and we had to grow through those situations. But we've been willing to go through the situations together because we would not release the blessing of our marriage. Listen, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
How do you measure performance? Infinity measures it in beats per minute, in stitches per inch. We measure performance by touch, by sight, by sound. The Infinity M. By any measure, this is inspired performance. This is the way of infinity.
We about to go get twisted. Y'all coming or what?
Nah, man, I gotta hit the books, man. All right?
Yeah? See you guys.
Can I get a check?
Nah, we straight.
Fabric softener, bounce dryer sheets, and a pie pan.
Looks like someone used my nice clean towels again for his mud pies.
Was it me?
Who's this?
That guy? Never seen that guy in my life.
Only Walmart has low prices every day on everything to keep your wash fresh and clean. Backed by our ad match guarantee. Save money. Live better. Walmart.
Hi, I'm Venus Williams. You know, I heard recently that the two main reasons for not getting an annual mammogram are limited access and fear. I know that there are low-cost and even free screenings at some hospitals and clinics, and I've even heard of mobile mammogram units in some areas. Talk about service. Look, I know getting a screening is not as exciting as shopping, but life is for living. So take the first step to breast health. Get the mammogram. For more information, please visit breastcancerawareness.com.
want to thank you for being with us on this week as we discuss forgiveness. Forgiveness is such a big situation. There was one item that came up, and I thought forgiveness when reconciliation is not safe. Forgiveness when reconciliation is not safe. Not when it's not possible, but when it's not safe. And I immediately thought about the areas of physical abuse. And one of the things about the Connect Network is about women and families. And so I wanted to make sure that in the area of physical abuse, that if it's a recurring situation, your safety is more important than your reconciliation. I know it's sometimes hard to make that decision, but if you've been experiencing continuous physical abuse, I'm telling you now, forgive them, but leave them. If they are, unless they get committed to and show evidence of getting help, unless there's some kind of significant change, you have to protect your safety and you have to protect your person. And your family. We want to remind you to follow us on Walking Consummated on our Facebook page, where I have posted the information for the 6 steps to seeking and the 6 steps to granting forgiveness. Also, continue to sit in your requests to be a part of our studio audience, to send in those requests to our Gmail account, walkingconsummated@gmail.com. And remind you, there's a donate button on the page. If you want to make a donation to this ministry that helps keep this on the air and keep us going and providing this valuable information to you, click the donate button or call the number that's at the bottom of the page and make a contribution to this network that's being a blessing not only to you, but being a blessing to our life as well. Yes. I promised you, and I do promise you, we may make just one more stop before we get to intimacy and sexuality. I know you want to get there. I know you want to get there. I can feel you in the airways. But in order for that intimacy and sexuality to be of its intent and purpose, we have to lay these foundations. Let me say this about it and give you my first insight on intimacy. The way some people make love is a crime. And I don't mean that to make it downspoken, but it costs so much to love them. You have to give up so much to get that physical gratification. And so we want to make sure that before we enter into that we have laid a clear foundation. So the 2 topics that are coming up, I don't know which order we're going to do them in. Of course, we're going to talk about the money. We got to talk about the money because that's the number one cause of divorce in the world is the conflict over finances. And we're going to be talking about that, but we're also going to talk about intimacy and have date nights and going out and holding hands and really mean it. Yes. Really mean it. You know, me and Charlotte got this new thing. We're going to show it to you. Show me the touch thing. Oh. Tell him. Come on.
Okay, this is when things are not going right at home, and so I want to, instead of saying I'm sorry, I do this.
And she'll walk up there. And so this means that. What does that mean?
We're okay.
We're still okay. So she was walking through the house the other day, and she stuck her finger out, right, to do it like this, and I'm knocking her finger away. Because I was just joking with her, of course, that we're not okay, but we're okay. But you have to have those little things that you do together that you can make the marriage stay alive and keep the communication open. Listen, we love you so much. Yes. We want to ask you to continue to watch us every Thursday at 8 o'clock on the Connect Network as we continue to walk in a consummated marriage. And remember, pray for one another, pray for the ministry, and continue to walk consummated. We'll see you next week.
Life is made up of choices that may seem insignificant at the time, but add up and affect our lives in the biggest ways. Like the health of your heart. Heart disease is the #1 killer of women. Making the right choices can reduce your risk. Choose to see your doctor. Choose fresh, not fried. Choose to walk. Choose to live. Make the choice to beat heart disease at GoRedForWomen.org. In our daily lives, we make...
Check it out. We about to go get twisted. Y'all coming or what?
Nah, man, I gotta hit the books, man. All right?
Yeah. See you guys.
Can I get a check?
Nah, we straight.
Check it out. We about to go get twisted. Y'all coming or